Welcome to Books and Coffee Chat, the podcast where we dive into the stories you love, the characters you can't stop thinking about, and the plot twists that leave you speechless. Every week, grab your coffee and join us for real, fun, and spoiler-free conversations about books that everyone's talking about. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack complex ideas and surprising facts from the sources you share, giving you a shortcut to being well-informed. Have you ever looked at a seemingly perfect community, maybe a picturesque town or a close-knit group, and wondered what truly lies beneath the surface? Today, we're diving into a fictional narrative that, well, on the surface it looks like a charming story, school kids, their parents. But as we start to peel back the layers, we find this world of simmering tensions, unspoken fears, and really deep personal secrets that challenge those first impressions.
Indeed. Our sources for this deep dive are these really powerful excerpts from a fictional account, but they offer such a unique window into the human condition. Our mission here is to pull out the most important insights about how appearances can be, well, profoundly deceiving.
Yeah.
And how those underlying societal pressures really shape individual lives. And, how difficult truths, when they finally come out, can shatter, but also maybe rebuild a community. You'll see how even in the most seemingly idyllic settings, these powerful forces are constantly at play just beneath that polished exterior. Okay, let's truly unpack this.
So our story opens in this quaint coastal town, Pirewee, specifically around the local school, Pirewee Public. And what's immediately striking from the source is the contrast, right? You have this almost magical, kind of dreamy school described, hidden nooks, charming spots for the kids.
Right. Set against the backdrop of the modern parents, who seem anything but dreamy. Yeah, the sources immediately throw us into the intense, almost frenetic energy of these parents. It's quite compelling how seriously mothers especially seem to take their roles. The descriptions mention their frenetic little faces and busy figures.
Frenetic is a good word for it.
And you get hints of overprotective parenting, even this sense of mommy wars. That subtle, sometimes not so subtle competition between stay-at-home moms and working moms. So right from the start, this tension signals that, yeah, despite the nice facade, there's a lot simmering just underneath.
And it's here we meet our main characters, our central trio, each carrying their own hidden stuff, it seems. There's Madeline. She comes across as spirited, impulsive, definitely outspoken. She hurts her ankle right at the very beginning and actually says, this was almost certainly the instant the story began, like she's calling it out.
Setting the stage, maybe.
Yeah. Then there's Jane. She's the quiet newcomer, single mom, often seen chewing gum, like constantly chewing gum, maybe a nervous habit.
Could be. Something to keep things down, perhaps. And then there's Celeste. The sources describe her as offensively beautiful, almost embarrassingly so. Her perfection seems, unattainable.
These first impressions are so key, aren't they? Because they kind of set you up for the later twists.
Absolutely. It's almost misdirection. Each woman has this public persona that, as we find out, is pretty carefully crafted, built to hide some really profound internal struggles. Which leads us to think, okay, what happens when these carefully managed surfaces collide with actual conflict?
Right, because it doesn't take long.
No. Early on, at the kindergarten orientation day, this pivotal thing happens. A little girl, Amabella, she's described as super gifted. She accuses Jane's son Ziggy of hurting her. Specifically, she says he tried to choke her.
Wow. Okay, that's serious for kindergarten orientation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it immediately splits the parent community right down the middle.
You've got Renata, Amabella's mom, who is fiercely protective. Understandably, maybe. She demands an apology, even talks about calling the police. The source quotes her saying, "Please make your son apologize." Very direct.
Very. But Jane is just as firm. She insists, I didn't do anything, meaning Ziggy didn't. And what's interesting is how Madeline almost instantly jumps in to defend Jane and Ziggy, even stands up to Renata.
So this initial conflict, the schoolyard thing, it really acts like a lightning rod, doesn't it? It draws the battle lines and just sets the stage for all the drama that comes later. It's like a mini version of the bigger tensions.
Absolutely. It's not just a plot point. It shows how one small incident can expose all these cracks in a group that looks, pretty cohesive. And what's really fascinating is how the source material then goes deeper into the private lives of these women. It shows that their public faces, these images they project, often hide really big personal struggles, sometimes deep trauma. It makes you wonder how many people around us are putting on one face while dealing with something completely different inside.
That's such a crucial question. Let's take Madeline. She seems so confident, right? Outspoken, a real force. But then we learn about the tension with her ex-husband, Nathan, and his new wife, Bonnie, who's younger. But the real heart of her pain isn't just the ex situation. It's her daughter, Abigail. Abigail chooses to live with Nathan and Bonnie. And Madeline feels like a guest in her own daughter's life. That's gotta hurt.
Oh, deeply. She actually laments, she was supposed to love me more.
Yeah.
That's raw. So this internal turmoil, this fear of losing her daughter, it's hidden behind that feisty, sometimes combative exterior. It shows how our defenses can be built right out of our deepest vulnerabilities.
It really does. And that theme continues, maybe even more chillingly, with Celeste. Surface level, perfect life. Beauty, money, twins, loving husband, Perry. Looks ideal.
Completely. But then, connecting the dots, we find out the horrifying reality. Perry's abusive. Celeste describes feeling bad, sensual, awkward, and desperate after encounters with him.
Yeah.
And what's profoundly disturbing is how she rationalizes it. She justifies the violence, telling herself it could be a lot worse.
That's heartbreaking, that minimization.
It is, and she even talks about pinching her own thighs until tears came, describing it almost like a hobby or an interest. It's just this terrifying insight into the psychology of abuse,
Yeah.
how someone tries to find some semblance of control over their own pain when everything else feels out of control. It shows how much her self-worth has eroded.
God, that's heavy. And then there's Jane, the quiet one. Her quiet strength hides this deep, unhealed trauma, too. We learn Ziggy was conceived during a really traumatic one-night stand. The man, Saxon Banks, has said horrific things to her, like calling her an ugly fat cow, just devastating stuff that scarred her self-perception.
And that past trauma isn't just history. It actively poisons her present. She's terrified that Ziggy might have inherited some secret cruel side from this man, his biological father. This fear is what fuels her doubt about whether Ziggy actually hurt Amabella. And maybe even worse, it makes her question her own instincts as a mother, leaves her feeling totally isolated with these fears.
So these individual burdens, they don't just stay separate, do they?
No, not at all. As the sources show, they inevitably intersect and escalate within that pressure cooker environment of the school community. You see the influence of cliques pretty clearly, like the channel-cut blondes, who are described as basically running the school, wielding power, often through judgment or exclusion.
And gossip and judgment are just everywhere. A petition starts going around to suspend Ziggy. Imagine how that feels for Jane. It shows how quickly a community can turn on someone.
Absolutely. And even things that should be fun, like the mother's race at sports day, become battlegrounds. Madeline's competitive streak clashes with Bonnie's calmness. Renata gets petty. It turns into another arena for adult drama.
Yeah, the sources even mention parents judging others for tiny things, like eating lollipops for breakfast. It just paints this picture of constant scrutiny.
It does, a picture of these close-knit, yet often quite cutthroat social circles. But what's really compelling, amidst all this conflict and judgment, is how Madeline, Jane, and Celeste, these three very different women, form this unlikely but really strong bond.
Yeah, that friendship feels important.
It really is. It makes you ask, can shared hardship, even when it's rooted in very different personal pain, actually foster genuine connection, real support? Their friendship becomes this crucial counterweight to all the judgment. It's like a lifeline, a testament to finding solace in unexpected places.
And that solace, that bond, it gets put to the ultimate test. Things finally boil over at the annual school quiz night. Everyone's dressed up as Audrey Hepburn or Elvis. And amidst the costumes and cocktails, tragedy strikes. Perry White, Celeste's husband, falls from a balcony to his death.
Yeah, a huge pivot point. The immediate aftermath is just chaos.
Yeah.
Flashing lights, confusion, but it also reveals this extraordinary unspoken pact between Madeline, Celeste, Jane, and interestingly, Bonnie too. Despite all their past issues and animosities, they instinctively protect each other. They conspire to hide the truth from the police.
Which explains Detective Adrian Quinlan's frustration. He's quoted saying, "Someone is not telling the truth about what happened on the balcony. He knows something's off."
Right. It's this really powerful moment of solidarity, born out of everything they've been through separately and together.
And then the truth starts to unravel, connecting all these threads in a way that's, well, both shocking and maybe kind of inevitable when you look back. Max, Celeste's son, is the one who reveals part of it, the hidden cycle of violence. He admits he was the one hurting Amabella at school.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't Ziggy after all.
No. Max says, "I promised Amabella I would never tell anyone. She said if I told anyone, she'd probably be killed." He was doing it because he was mimicking the violence he saw Perry inflict on Celeste at home.
That's horrifying. Just horrifying how trauma echoes down like that through a child's actions.
Yeah.
And then the final piece, the ultimate gut-wrenching connection Perry White, Celeste's abusive husband, he turns out to be Saxon Banks, the man who assaulted Jane all those years ago.
Unbelievable. The same man.
The same man. This horrific coincidence just intertwines their two seemingly separate traumas into one devastating story. Perry becomes the central villain in both their lives. It's a chilling reminder of how cycles of violence can connect victims who might never otherwise know their shared source of pain. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many unspoken links exist between the traumas people carry?
So what does all this mean for them, for the women? Well, with Perry gone, they start to heal. Slowly. Piece by painful piece. Celeste finds her strength. She moves out, goes back to her legal career. And in this amazing act of compassion, really, she sets up a trust fund for Ziggy.
Wow, that's huge. Real agency.
Yeah. And Jane? She gets a new haircut, symbolic maybe, starts gaining confidence, finds a connection with Calm, the barista, finally starts letting go of that self-blame, that fear about Ziggy's nature.
That's good to hear. And Madeline?
She's still navigating her family stuff, but her friendships with Celeste and Jane are deeper now, a real support system.
And even the school makes a small step, planning a conflict resolution module. Maybe a sign the community is starting to learn something.
Perhaps. But this transformation, it does make you ask.
How much pain could have been avoided?
Yeah. If the truth, especially about Perry, had come out sooner. The sources point out how Jane feels this huge relief after confiding in Madeline, how her constant gum chewing had ceased as she started to heal. It's such a small detail, but so powerful. Shows the physical release from that psychological weight. The whole story really underlines the massive cost of silence for everyone involved.
Our deep dive today really shows us the incredible, often devastating power of secrets, don't you think? And hidden traumas and just the messy, complex web of human relationships. We've seen how a community that looks perfect on the outside can hide so much suffering, and how breaking the silence, even when it happens in these really dramatic, awful ways, can ultimately lead to liberation, to finding a path towards healing, however painful. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's just such a powerful reminder that outward appearances, well, they rarely tell the whole story. Almost never, maybe. This narrative really pushes us to pause, doesn't it? To look beyond the surface. To think about the hidden burdens people might be carrying. Burdens that often fuel the very tensions we see playing out. It really encourages a deeper empathy.
So for you, our listener, maybe consider this as you go about your day. What hidden truths might lie beneath the polished surfaces you encounter, in the lives around you, and what responsibility do we have as individuals, as part of a community, to maybe look a bit deeper, to question our assumptions, to offer support to people who might be struggling silently? Think about the ripple effect of secrets, not just the ones we keep locked away, but the ones that, when they finally surface, can change absolutely everything.
And that's a wrap for today's Books and Coffee Chat. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this episode with your fellow book lovers. Got a book suggestion or a hot take? Drop it in the comments. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. See you next time, and don't forget, keep reading and keep